after 9th grade, they lead the service, they write pieces. When I was confirmed, we put together a cantata with writings and music. But it's some kind of way to make them feel like this is their place, right? So as they confirm their place in the Jewish people, we confirm our trust in them. It's kind of a dual purpose, okay? So that was, but early confirmation, it really was, you get up, you recite a creed, and it would look just like what you would see in a Christian confirmation service. I've given you, this is from the Shari Tzedek Centennial History book, and on the page confirmation, you see confirmation is a fairly new Jewish ceremony, having begun less than 200 years ago. Although the earliest recorded confirmation in North America is said to have taken place in New York in 1846. The ceremony wasn't widely practiced throughout the United States until 1927, when the Central Conference of American Rabbis recommended confirmation as a movement-wide practice. The Central Conference of American Rabbis are the Reform Rabbis of America. But this practice in Europe really did date back to the 1800s. Shari Tzedek, however, had confirmation ceremonies prior to that date, although the first photo we have is from 1930. And all of the confirmation pictures are back on the other side of the social hall if you ever want to walk, and you'll see every confirmation class here from 1930 to today. Now, back to here. Yes to bar and bat mitzvah. Okay, this is in the Reform movement. Bar and bat mitzvah celebrations have become commonplace in our congregations, and in consequence, a considerable body of custom and literature has sprung up. In our educational and religious practices, boys and girls are treated equally, and if a congregation encourages a ceremony, all children should be asked to fulfill the educational requirements leading to it. Very interesting. When bar mitzvah came back in the Reform movement, it really was bar mitzvah. And it was still something that boys did, but girls did not. Boys were bar mitzvah, girls were not, and then everyone was confirmed together. But here, and this is from 1988, and this was something that was partially being done, but here in 1988, as a movement, the Reform movement is saying, if you're going to be offering bar mitzvah, you need to be offering bat mitzvah as well. And remember in the Talmud, we had what age for girls? 12, and for boys? 13. And in some customs today, you'd still see a girl become bat mitzvah at 12, boys at 13, even when they're having a service. But here it says, the customary age for the child for being called to the Torah is 13. It's mentioned in Pirkei Avot, in the Mishnah, as the age for fulfilling the mitzvot. While this was taken by some, especially among Sephardim, Spanish Jews, as being an agadic statement only, and the wearing of tefillin was permitted at an earlier age, tefillin are the phylacteries, 13 remained the customary age for the child's first aliyah. Though parents often desire the bar and bat mitzvah celebrations of their child to take place early, rabbis should not accede to such requests except in cases of serious emergency. There is no justification for holding girls' celebrations at an earlier age on the ground that their puberty occurs at the age of 12 or even before. For us, bar and bat mitzvah are way stations in Jewish growth and not physiologically based rites, the ceremony is firmly linked to occasions when the Torah... Okay, so we don't need to go on. But, so what they're saying is that in the Reform movement today, that bar and bat mitzvah is not necessarily becoming a man, right? We don't do this. And the way that I explain it to the kids is at 13, are you a man or are you a woman? No. Right? But you are a teenager. And there is new responsibility and obligation that comes with being a teenager. Whether, as a reform movement, right, we say no one's obligated to follow the mitzvot. It's not like the early 1800s where we say you shouldn't do it, right? But it's not viewed as obligation. So why would we say a 13-year-old is obligated, right? Why have this ceremony? That's the idea of early reform. But there are new obligations that come with growing up, right? A parent's not going to go like this, but there are new responsibilities, and that can be marked at the age of 13. You are a new kind of member in the Jewish community. You're able to lead a service. You're able to be called from the Torah, and we recognize that. But in the Reform movement, we also recognize that 13 is very different than 16, right? So in most Reform congregations today, you will see bar and bat mitzvah, but you still see confirmation, right? Confirmation saying that, and really what it is saying that even though I became bar and bat mitzvah, I stayed in religious school, right? I will tell you that the biggest problem in congregations today is how do we keep our kids after bar and bat mitzvah. I will tell you that this congregation is probably at the top, near the top, if not at the top, for a congregation of this size in keeping bar and bat mitzvah students after bar and bat mitzvah. Let's say in a given year, we have 45 to 50 bar and bat mitzvahs. Right? We really do have just about one every week, and for every week that we don't have one, we have two on another week. This year in my 8th grade class, which is the first year after bar and bat mitzvah, I have 40 kids in my class. So, in our confirmation class, we'll probably have 36 to 37. So we really, here we're very lucky, and a lot of it's because of Rabbi Bernholtz and what he's established. A lot of it's because confirmation is after 9th grade instead of 10th grade. 2 more years doesn't seem quite as bad as 3 or 4, but our kids stay. And a lot of it also goes back to that very first midrash I told you, right? The licking the honey from the tablet. That are, and I'm not doing this as an advertisement, but I'm really doing it to show the role of Jewish education. Because it's supplementary, right? Because it's outside of regular school. We're making kids come on a Sunday morning, and that's most of the Jewish world today. The synagogues that try to make the Jewish education exactly like their regular school, right? That try to do so much on a Sunday morning and a Wednesday afternoon and try to fit every single thing that you would do if you were in Jewish school, right? You end up making it, and a lot of kids have negative memories from their Jewish education. What we really try to do here is to make it something that the kids feel positive about so that they do want to be here, and they will stay with us through, not just through confirmation, because we also have, Sherry, we have 65 or 7, no. I think we have 50 high school kids in 10th or 12th grade who are teacher assistants on Sunday mornings, right? So that's about half of the eligible kids who are coming after confirmation to help teach in our religious schools. So, you know, I can't take credit for it. I came into this, but this is a place that is showing that sweetness. It's showing the importance. That's doing it right. Yeah.
Do you have other programs for teenagers here? Like, is there like?
Yep, we have youth group also, which is more informal education and social. We happen to also be very successful in that realm. We have about 70 kids in our youth group, and we, for the Reformed synagogues in the country, we last year had the 5th most kids involved in the entire country, and that includes synagogues that are 2 or even 3 times our size.
Your parents have great commitment at that.
Yeah. Okay. Other words just for the conversion candidates. Haftarah we got, right? Haftarah is the section prophets or the writings, right? The books that aren't Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, or Deuteronomy. It's a section that's attached to each Torah portion. Haftarah means addition. And it was one of the parts that's traditionally read by the bar mitzvah on Saturday morning, but it's there regardless. Talit is the prayer shawl. There are different customs with the talit. In that section, it talked about tefillin not being worn until you're 13. Right? Talit would also, in some customs, not be worn until you're 13. There are other traditions where you don't wear a talit until you're married. But for the most part, but even if you don't wear a talit until you're married, you do wear a talit when you're called to the Torah at 13. Okay, so talit is worn for the first time when you're called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. Cheder we got. Shabbaton. Shabbaton would just be a like educational retreat taking place over a Shabbat. Chavurah doesn't really go with bar mitzvah. Chavurah is a group that gathers together for learning and for worship, like a small group. And ulpan would be a more modern educational word. Ulpan is in Israel. When you move to Israel, ulpan is an intensive Hebrew study. Which is perfect because, now ulpan is learning how to speak Hebrew. But I wanted to tell you all that we have an adult Hebrew class. It's not learning how to speak Hebrew. You will learn a few words, but it's really learning how to read Hebrew. It is Monday evenings, and it starts on October 10th. So I want to make sure I tell you about it because it will start before we meet again, especially for our conversion candidates, but it's open for anyone. This is a great chance to come and to learn how to read Hebrew. And then for those who are Jewish, which will include conversion candidates at that point, the second half of the year is preparing for an adult bar or bat mitzvah for those who want. Now, again, adult bar or bat mitzvah, having learned what we just learned, is kind of an oxymoron, right? Because we know that when you turn 13, whether you have a service or not, you are bar mitzvah. But based on the Reform understanding of bar mitzvah today, we believe that it's something that adults can do. So for adults who have never been called to the Torah as a bar or bat mitzvah, we offer an adult b'nai mitzvah. So bar mitzvah is for a boy. Bat mitzvah is for a girl. B'nai mitzvah is when we're referring to plural. And if you were to have just females, and this is a word that you'll hear, sometimes benot mitzvah would be if we only had girls. But even if there, and this is just Hebrew, even if there's one boy, a group of 3,000 girls, one boy, it becomes b'nai mitzvah. Okay? So that's adult b'nai mitzvah, and that's the so that as far as I know, the introduction to reading Hebrew is open to anyone. Once it goes into preparing for the adult bar bat mitzvah, that's for Jews who want to become adult b'nai mitzvah. Any questions about Jewish education, bar bat mitzvah, confirmation? No? No because everything makes sense, or no because nothing makes sense? Okay. Good. Then an early Shana Tova, a Shana Tova Umituka, a sweet and happy new year. And if we don't see you before, we'll see you on, and really, please, October 19th, come back. We'll be here.
Okay.
Okay.